what I will do is I will straight move into a presentation mode, take you through it. I also had the privilege of circulating around 3 questions to participants, and about 29 of you answered them. So I'll also share the responses that I got from all 29 of you. I'll use a word cloud technology to kind of share that with you. So without further ado, we'll straight dive into the slides and try to best utilize your Sundays. Is the slide visible?
Yes, Sanchayan.
Okay. Wonderful. So warm welcome to this subject of blue and gray collar workers in India. Not often that we talk about them. Most of us work in the white collar space. We ourselves are white collar workers. And specifically, we'll try to see how technology is shaping the entire landscape. And it indeed is impacting a lot. Uh, at certain places, it is creating jobs. At certain places, it is destroying jobs. So in today's presentation, we'll try to kind of deep dive and see more and understand. Yep. So I asked a question to many of you saying, what comes to your mind when you think of blue and gray collared workers? And this is a word cloud of what all of you said. Most of you said it was about manual labor, hard work, factory workers. It's very tough. There's a hire and fire culture in this segment. They're laborers, they're low wage, they're very, very essential to us, but they probably don't get their due. Many of you also said it's a working class. And yes, it's a working class, but it's, I would say, 1/3 of the working class. So there's white collar, gray collar, and blue collar, right? So let's explore a little bit more on this. This is a very macroeconomic view of India's GDP shift in the last 74 years of independence, right? We are a 74-year-old country. And if you see from an agrarian economy with 54% dependency on that sector, we are now moving very, very clearly to a largely services driven and also a manufacturing driven economy. So less and less people are living off the land now, which is a good thing. Agriculture is very, very important to the Indian economy. But if you want to chart out a prosperous country, even and especially such a large country, you need to have your manufacturing and services sector grow. This also means that over a period of time of the 74 years of India's independence, there has been a migration of workers from the agricultural sector to manufacturing and to services. Services, of course, has taken a larger share. Hopefully, with the government's initiative of Make in India and stuff like that, manufacturing will get its glory back. This also means there's been a lot of migration from rural areas to urban areas. And the impact of that we saw during COVID when a lot of people had to migrate back to their hometown, which was in rural areas. So it's an agrarian economy that we started with, and now are services in a manufacturing group. So pyramids are not only found in Egypt, they are found in India too. This joke apart is the pyramid of how the Indian workforce structure looks like. At the very, very top pinnacle, the yellow part of it is where you have the movers and the shakers. These are TV personalities, Bollywood, CEOs, big businessmen, research says, and it's a Goldman Sachs research, saying that people who earn more than 2 crores annual package or in profits, that's where the movers and shakers are. Then comes the white collar workers, small business owners, people like most of you on this call and me. And then there is a large 400 million mass, which is the blue and gray collared workers. Some of them work for themselves. So some of them are micro entrepreneurs and some of them work for others, which is the blue part is what you see. And then there's the green one where small vendors who are selling goods maybe on the streets, or somebody is a barber, and people working in rural areas, agricultural laborers, etc. But every research that you will read from PricewaterhouseCoopers to Goldman Sachs, you will see that India is going to be driven by this 400 million people. Not only by their working, they are also the ones who will consume products. From e-commerce to FMCG goods, they are the people whose income will grow over a period of time, and they'll start buying and will drive consumption in the country. So, uh, focusing more on that blue area, and slightly moving to a more HR-ish kind of a subject, and saying, what are the 5 differentiating factors that really differentiate a white collar to a gray collar to a blue collar? And our research says that there are 5 key areas: work, which is the place that they work; the kind of work that they do, which is the work or the job itself; what is the education that they come with, related to skill in a way; and salary. Why have we put salary at the bottom and it's in a slightly different color and font? Because slowly that salary as a differentiation is going away. You often had Uber car drivers or even delivery boys, top performing delivery boys who worked more than kind of 8 hours and earned incentives, earning more than some gray and early white collar workers. There were people who were getting 30,000, 60,000 per month as drivers or as delivery boys. So salary is increasingly becoming a less differentiating factor. But look at work. The white collar deals more with information, and if you move along the spectrum, and it's a spectrum, so you can't really say who's gray or white. It's a continuum or a spectrum. To handling physically, mechanically handling assets, they handle your, as Shyam was saying, your packets. They move your packets. They're delivering your packets. They're handling our office machinery. They are handling cash. They're handling goods in a retail store. So from handling information to handling assets. If you look at the workplace, from working in office, and now of course a lot of us working from home, because white collar jobs are possible to be transferred or done from any place, anywhere, because of technology. Unfortunately, for the blue collared workers, it has to be the factory or the field, which means in periods of crisis like this, when things close down, they are the ones who suffer the most. Which also means that if a factory closed down, they are the ones who lose their jobs, because it is dependent on a physical place of work. The delivery boy has to be in the field, the welding guy has to be there in the factory. There's no other option. The housekeeping guy has to be in that house to clean that house. They don't have an option. Education, you're aware, it's from more formal, well-known institute educations to people who are either illiterate to 10th, 12th pass, kind of. That's the spectrum that goes. The interesting part is skills. In white collar, these are higher order cognitive skills, and most of the time are not easily replaceable. So a chartered accountant or a software developer, it's difficult to replace because they bring a certain kind of skills and experience. If you go on the other end of the spectrum, which is the right end or the blue end, they can be trained easily. A delivery boy, and we do, and there are a lot of organizations who hire delivery boys from a platform. Delivery boys are trained in 2 hours because it's a fungible skill set. Similarly, a loader, packer, a manual labor, a construction worker, very easy to train them in a day or two, which means that very, very easily replaceable. And that's a big risk for them. Middle, of course, is the gray collar workers, where you have ITIs, vocational training, trade-based training. It's difficult, and they have to be brought in, they have to be trained. So there's apprenticeship. Nurses, for example, go through a 3-year training program before starting to handle patients. But on the side, blue collars is nothing like that, right? Uh, so that brings in very, very interesting elements of it. This is the same spectrum. Here, what I have tried to do is plot a plethora of jobs that happen here. And when you think of blue collar, frontline, essential workers, you don't think of this way. But when you start writing down, you see there are so many varieties of jobs, from air hostesses to TIG welders to enterprise sales. on the field, to the housekeeping guy, to the nurse, to the waiter, the training, the crane operator. So many amount of variety. Yet, as you see, and there's a red arrow that I have put, the more you go towards the right, these jobs are susceptible to automation and robotics that's coming in. So data entry, packing, moving goods, driving with now with automated driverless cars coming in, cashiers, because now there is low touch digital payments. So cashier jobs are at risk. Construction jobs at risk are for different reasons of automation and robotics. However, the ones on the left side are less at risk because there's an element of human interaction, an element of customer service, an element of care, an element of interaction with somebody, whether it's a five-star waiter or a bartender, air hostess, or a retail counter executive. So these jobs are at lesser risk, and but there's a higher need of training. So unless you train them well, they are at risk as well. You know, I have marked certain of these jobs in green because they can be they are adaptable to on-demand services. So and there are different mobile services now coming, mobile applications where you can order their services or book their services or seek their services online. They'll come, they'll do the work and go back, which also means there's no permanency of these jobs. If you get the job, fine. If you don't get the job, you're at a loss, right? The pink ones are the ones where and in certain economies they call this pink color jobs because they have an element of customer service interaction and more emotional care and stuff like that are needed. And often these were called pink collar jobs in a very gender biased way because a lot of these works were handled by women in certain countries. But those kind of distinguishing have gone. Important to note, as I said, is the green arrow shown at the top, which means high need of training, and the red arrow where jobs are susceptible due to automation and robotics. Right? This becomes very important even for NGOs to know where do you train people? Do you train people on the left side or on the right side? If you're training people from the right side, you're not training them for life. You're not training them for a long term because a lot of these jobs are susceptible to automation. Uh, there are two pictures here. I would like the audiences to write in the chat box. Sorry, I'll just go back. What is the first picture about? The one on the left. Sorry, my I'm not able to see the chat bot for some reason.
Okay, so Sanchan, you have to just press Alt H.
Alt H.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Alt H. No.
Okay. Okay. So there is an option, if you just move your cursor to on the top of the screen,
Okay.
you'll be able to see the three.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
wonderful. I think people are writing 3D printing, robotic construction by a machine. Yes, you got it right. This is 3D construction happening. People less, absolutely. Buildings, there's a potential that buildings will get built by 3D machine, and this is not making some small toys or something else. This is about making whole building machines. The picture on the right side, of course, I mean, all of you know that. These are robots, and these are actually robots in Amazon warehouse. So there's a human being working there as well, but you see only one man working there because there are a lot of robots there. From the orange boxes which are below to the one with the yellow arm, these are robots in the warehouse. And what's the target of these robots? It's the same blue collar jobs that we spoke of. So that's one way technology is impacting blue collar workers. But there's another way it is impacting, and this is a slightly positive way. It's through mobile phones. So this is the age of the mobile phones, as we say. On the left this time is a picture that you are familiar with, right? It's the urban clap on demand services, as we told. You know that the good part is, since these are on mobile phones and digital, the person who's coming to your house to repair the washing machine, or give you a spa treatment, is assured of payment, right? They're also assured of a standard payment. They will not be cheated. There's no middleman. They're also assured of what time it will happen. So time, quantity, quality of work are assured. So that's a great thing. These things are, the mobile phone is now giving opportunities to these people. They may be individual workers, workers from a company, or even micro entrepreneurs. Now my question is, what is the picture on the right hand side? What does it say? Can the audience put it in the chat? As you see, there is something called price on the vertical axis, and it's something to do with Kerala, and of course, the horizontal axis is the timeline. And as you see in the picture, there's a bar that comes in. There are three sample populations. Whenever a mobile phone is getting added, the seismic variation is reducing. The variation is becoming more predictive. Okay, nobody's got it right till now. Well, this is the biggest use case and the most popular, the more spoken about case of mobile penetration and internet penetration, as somebody is writing, in and for blue collared workers. This is about the sardine, and I don't know how many of you eat fish, sardine fishermen in Kerala. Sardine fishermen in Kerala go out early in the morning into the sea and start fishing. By the time they come back and they have fished, they don't have any kind of understanding of what will be the demand of fish that day, how much of the fish will remain fresh. If the demand is high and they catch less fish, they're at a loss. If the demand is low, they end up buying more fish, then the fish die and spoil. So with the coming of mobile phone, they were able to predict demand. Just like the spa beauty salon specialist is predicting demand for her work, the fisherman in Kerala also is able to predict demand. When is that demand coming? How much is the demand? And he is able to deliver better quality. So this is about prices of fish, rupees per kg, and mobile phone service in Kerala. The moment you give mobile phones in the hands of those fishermen, they took the mobile phone in the boat while they went shipping, and while shipping, they called up and checked with their people back on the shore. What is the demand like? What should I buy? What are they looking for? Sardines? Are they looking for something else? Hilsa, whatever. I mean, I don't know. So that's the age of the mobile phone, and the beauty of it, and what it's bringing in. They also say, and in the earlier ages of telecom, and I come from telecom, that every 10% growth in mobile telephony penetration leads to increase of 1.2% in India's GDP, right? So technology is also helping. Now, this is another way technology is helping. This is about TikTok, which is of course banned now, share chat, Instagram, and YouTubers, right? And you've heard about TikTokers and YouTubers in India. They sometimes earn more than a lakh to 2 lakhs a month because of the content that they create. And many of them are not well educated. Some of them may be illiterate as well. Because being on social media, which is driven by more visual content, videos and pictures, you need not know how to read and write. You need to shoot. You know how to need to how to shoot, how to record audio or video and upload. So while I don't have an answer, but I like to put a question to all of you to think about it: is mobile knowledge now education that is powering income? And you will see on the right hand side where I have mentioned that 40% of the 500 million internet users are semi-literate or school dropouts. Another 20% are very low skilled workers or have modest college education, but they are spending time online and they're consuming and creating visual content. Whether that time spent is well or not, is economically value adding to the country or not, one doesn't know. But it seems it's adding some value to them in terms of income. So that's another kind of workforce. In a way, they're working for themselves and creating content and earning a bit of money, right? Uh, I would be happy to share some of the reference material through HRAI if we get time. But let's move on for now. The government is also taking a lot of initiatives on technology, especially. So the Digital India thing, the whole, JAM, right? Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and mobile. So these things are really now driving a lot of formalization in the economy. Everybody now needs to have a bank account. Payments are coming into a bank account. Government introduced GST, so organizations need to be compliant with the GST, which means I will be more keen to hire a manpower supplier, a manpower agency, which is a formal agency with GST because I can take input output credit, right? So the informality is going away, which means I pay wages directly through Bheem API, right? Which means that there's no middleman who takes away a part of my wage and then gives me the rest in cash, as many of us saw in Hindi Bollywood movies. And then, of course, there's Skill India. There is the whole hospitalization insurance thing, which is driving Make in India. That's driving a lot of, or should drive a lot of employment generation. Fact that all of at all in this whole India tech stack, there is Aadhaar involved, means that there is a lot of trust that getting created in the economy. So what's happening? It's giving birth to a new age blue collar worker, what we are now calling them a platform worker. And some of you will smile seeing at this face of the Zomato guy. This kind of went viral in social media. But what are they? They are not highly skilled. They're not eligible for highly skilled jobs, but they know how to use the internet and they use a payment gateway, right? Hope we're doing fine. Yeah, and they use a payment gateway. They have a smartphone and they have a bike or a cycle. The bike may also be loaned or taken from the elder brother or the dad. And if they have elder brother or the dad, they have a second income or a cushion income. Or sometimes they themselves might do two jobs. So there's a cushion income there. They are typically not well educated, 18 to 35 years, and they surf online for jobs and entertainment. So that's the emergence of the new platform worker, the Swiggy boy, the urban clap lady, the technician you order on apps. So that's the emergence of the Indian platform worker or the new age blue collar worker. So blue collar workers, to kill the myth, is no longer that construction worker who's there. Of course, he's a blue collar worker, but no longer that. By the way, there's also, if you do some research, you will find also there is something called black collar workers. Why are the black collar workers? They work in mines. So it's even more, as some of you had said in the survey I did, hard, tough, and very painful jobs, stressful jobs, less safety. How did this entire concept of blue and black come? Because if you work in mines, your collars at the behind get black. Or if you go in the field or if you drive, you can't wear a white shirt and do these jobs. That's how the concept of black collar workers or blue collar workers kind of came. Anyways, let's move on from the smiling Zomato guy to something else. Uh, yeah. So to summarize all of these, India depends on this on its frontline and essential workers. Sham said that as well while I think introducing the topic, that they are very, very essential. One of the participants also said they are very essential. We can't do without them. In fact, in COVID, we realized that if those people were not there, we couldn't have done anything. And some of them couldn't come. Everything stopped. We had to do that work. We became the blue-collared workers in our homes, driving the car and doing the washing of the clothes and the utensils. So huge need. Manufacturing is set to grow in India with with the rest of the world having doubts on China. As you saw, all these apps from CureFit to Care24, Ola, and all that, the whole focus on healthcare, because India is also slated to become a cheap location or a destination for healthcare. So there's a huge need. And yet, this sector is underserved. Again, I think Sham said that. I mean, I don't know whether Sham saw my PPT earlier. He didn't, but he was very prophetic in that this sector is underserved. There will be 47 million youth who drop out of the 10 standard, and more than half of the 12th pass Indians lack the skills to get jobs. And you will have a new 90 million joining between 2020 and 2030, this entire workforce. And while that new 90 million is coming, there's the existing 100 million who have declared themselves that they are NLET. What's NLET? They are not in labor, not in education, and not in training. They're not getting trained, they're not studying, and they're not working. So that's a big challenge. And so I asked all of you in my survey that what do India's blue collar workers need the most? And this is again a word cloud of what you said. Very, very strongly, you said technology, and all of you said health and safety. These are the people who take care of our health and safety, the security guard, the nurse, the patient care. What about their health and safety? Right? I may not have all the answers, but today I also want to ignite your minds and touch your heart on this subject. They need better salary, they need job security. As I said, their jobs and skills are fungible. Robotics automations can kill their jobs. They're not very skilled. It takes 2 hours to train a delivery boy. So I can sack a delivery boy, get a new one. I don't care. You said skilling is required. You said a strong voice is required. You said they themselves need to be self-aware. Their basic necessities need to be taken care of. Insurance cover, credit. I think wonderful stuff you guys have said in the survey. So I would like to stress upon a fact that we must focus on four corners. These are the four corners that we need to build and not cut. So it's not about cutting corners with this segment, but about building job, skill, finance, and health. And I'll very quickly touch upon them. What are the challenges here in finding jobs? There is no transparency while they apply for jobs. If they see an ad in a newspaper and apply, no transparency. If they apply through a consultancy or through a placement agency, no transparency. And somebody asked in one of the chats, I think Dr. Nandan asked that what is Karya Mitra? So Karya Mitra basically is a technology platform where it transparently puts jobs across to workers for free of charge, so that you cut the middleman in between. They also have limited or no writing skills. So how do they make a resume? They sometimes go to an internet cafe, pay 100 rupees and make a resume. Or even they pay agents money to make a resume. Why all that? On the age of the mobile phone, in few different clicks. For example, that's what Karyamitra does as well. We help them create resumes by set of clicks. Video resumes, that's a big thing. I mean, HR is talking about video resumes. This is the category that needs the video resume most, because they can speak well. They can tell what kind of work they have done. They can also tell you what work they can do for you. But if you ask them to write, how will they write? And then you will reject them, saying he doesn't know to read and write. And then there are placement agencies who charge money, they fleece them. There's exploitation happening there. But of course, with different platforms, portals like ours coming in and stuff like that, that is slowly reducing. But it's still there. I even find that in Bombay, where they pay 2,000 rupees. Then again, they're asked some 2,000. In every stage of the interview, they're asked 2,000. What do they depend on? They depend on their friends to give job references. That's why we called ourselves Karya Mitra, because we wanted to be the Mitra or the friend. Sorry, the picture is missing in the trustworthy employer, but basically that's on purpose. Because how do they know that the employer also is trustworthy or not? Because often not every employer has an office and setup and everything. And employers are also often under different kinds of pressure. So these are the challenges on the supply side. On the demand side, there's the same challenge of finding workers. How do I find workers? How do I know them? Which location? Will I get it near my factory, near my home? Can I trust them? There's a massive trust deficiency or gap between the employer and the employee. Employer doesn't trust. Employee doesn't trust whether they'll get the salary, whether they'll get good work. The employer doesn't trust whether he'll run away with my assets. Because as I said, these people deal with your assets. They don't deal with information. Information can't be kind of stolen away or taken away in that sense, like white collars. I mean, that can be done, but I'm just saying assets are more this thing. They carry your goods, you handle your machinery, they're given in charge of cash and so on. High attrition rates, very, very high attrition rates. In some companies, almost half of the workforce vanishes away. Seasonal spikes. So, for example, big billion day, etc. Amazon, Flipkart, there are spikes. In manufacturing, also there are certain things, certain kind of textiles, etc. Where there's a spike during a certain area. Monsoon sees a drop down or closure in certain kinds of factories or certain kinds of work. It's a very time-consuming hiring process, costly process. So these are some of the challenges. Because it's very important for employers also to find workers. Because if employers are not able to find workers, then how will you give those jobs? The seeker and the finder both have to find each other, right? The second is about getting skilled. There are vocational training institutes. Government also does a lot of stuff, especially today with Skill India. There's also ITIs, but they have to travel a distance. Especially in some areas, to travel only, they'll spend 2 3 hours, spend 200 300 bucks on a train ticket, bus, etc. So it's very painful. And all of us are talking of e-learning, e-skilling. Right now also we are learning something, all of us together, right? About 50 of us. But for them, they have to work. They have to walk. They can't learn it. Why can't we bring technology in this space and get them skilled? Also, the relevancy of the programs have to be looked into. Are they just programs to take money from these students or kids, or are they relevant for the industry? And I talked to some NGOs. Some NGOs are trying to do good work. They're trying to find out what is the demand and then work towards this demand. How do you also create content which is vernacular? That's very important, because if you continue to teach them in English, they'll never learn. So these are some of the important things which are there. I'll quickly move on to the third one, which is about financial products. I think we're kind of doing okay on time. Yeah. So about financial products, all of us, many of us have taken loans. We have credit cards. We have a bank account, which is salary keeps coming in, so it's a valid bank account, etc. Many of the people in this segment don't have a verifiable credit worthiness. How do you verify the credit, especially somebody coming for the first time, an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old guy with no history of payments, no history of bank account. For the first time, he's probably opened a bank account because the government has now done this Jan Dhan Aadhaar thing. There's no way to know their credit worthiness, and if the credit worthiness is not known, nobody is giving them financial products. Also, the other risk is they're often not in jobs, or they're in between jobs. Unlike white collar people who are on notice period, find a new job and then leave. So they're continually on jobs. Their break maybe 1 or 2 days at the most, which may be a Saturday, Sunday. But when jobs break, incomes break, his credit history breaks. They end up having very limited cash reserves, because in those jobless periods, they use up whatever cash reserves they take. Often they're not financially very aware also. So sometimes they buy very costly mobile handsets and dresses and stuff like that, but they don't spend on things that matter to them. Uh, they have very limited access to insurance products. Unlike ours, the accident insurance, life insurance, health insurance is not there. At the most, I have seen delivery boys in Swiggy and Zomato have accident insurance. Or people in good large manufacturing setups will have a insurance. Otherwise, their health and risk is not protected. Forget their immediate family. And some companies, there's a company called Super Money. You can read it about them. They're trying to do work around this. They're trying to create financial products, micro financial products, insurances at which are 400 per month, 100 per month kind of insurance products. Even the Pradhan Mantri, the Atal Yojana and all that, they are also targeted towards a very small amount of money to ensure you, so that you again don't use up all your cash reserves and become poor when something happens to your health. Saving orientation, again, there are companies like Super Money, etc., which are trying to do small saving instruments. But awareness is very less. Also, presence in very less. One or two companies can't help do this. There are lot more people need to come in. I'll also urge people who are
Sunshine, you have been okay.
yeah, I think
Okay.
I got unmuted. Yeah. Uh, they also have a low saving orientation. We do all this SIP, mutual fund stuff like that. They don't have access to that. They don't have knowledge about that. How do they really do it? So what I'll urge you, all of you, to also think of how can more people come in this field and try to do work around these areas, which are really, really much needed. And if you have employees, if you have factory employees, blue collared workers, do think about this and try to work with, uh, you know, people like us, or other companies who do these kind of things. So do check, are your workers insured? Are they saving money? Do they have investment opportunities? What is it? Because if they're not financially well taken care of, they will lapse into poverty. And as we said, they are essential to us. Without them, the country can't work. We saw the pyramid. We saw what research is saying. The last one is also about health. We have never bothered about the delivery boy who's coming to serve us. Has he slept? Has he eaten food himself? If the factory worker is working in the night shift, has he shift? Has he slept? In the morning, what kind of diet they are taking? Because as we said, this is very hard work, and a lot of physical work, right? So if the diet is not well, if there hasn't been enough sleep, it affects their work. It affects the productivity. It affects finally the productivity of the company or the manufacturing unit. And at the end of it, it affects India's ability to grow as a nation if they're not getting proper diet. There's sometimes also a lot of stress at work. There's sleep, beyond sleep deprivation, there's other stress, because there's financial stress maybe probably worrying you, or your job is not secure. Work environment, chemical factories, smoke, etc., noise, pollution. So the work environment is stressful. Even on the roads, people who are driving, they're regularly, continuously getting exposed. A Zomato person or a Amazon delivery person riding for 8 hours, 12 hours in the road is continuously exposed to pollution, both noise and air. So I think while there are not many answers at this point in time, but private companies, NGOs, individuals, and government need to come together to address some of these aspects in the blue and gray collar segments. So what can technology deliver? And we kind of touched it. We're almost coming into towards the close of our session now. Uh, so technology is doing three things fundamentally. It's creating a digital identity, you know, the whole Aadhaar thing, online UPI. It's creating some kind of a digital identity for these people. There are a lot of HR tech software like our company does, and there are other companies also do that, and which are trying to ensure that these people get hired, exited through a certain kind of a software, or a what is commonly called a HRMS or payrolling system, etc. And then there are mobile applications like Urban Clap, there's Karyamitra, there is many other search apps, Cashify, etc., which bring jobs on the platform, and there's a payment mechanism as well. So what all of this is doing, one, it is formalizing things. Even GST as a mechanism is formalizing the entire economy, so that one, there is because when there is formalization, you have to tell how many employees there are, which means how many employees there are, then you have to pay PF, ESIC. If there is formalization, you have to pay them through a bank account, which means there's no middleman taking away the money. Formalization also means that just like the Kerala sardine fisherman and the urban club beauty specialist, you know what work do I have, when do I have, what is my demand, when do I have to deliver it, and I can also deliver quality. So technology is driving formalization. It's also driving financialization, as I said. Now you have Paytm, ways of sending money, accepting money, especially if you're a micro entrepreneur. You can also then track what others are getting, what do I get. So these are bringing some kind of equity or equalization or fairness in the whole thing. And then there's standardization, because work is becoming a bit standard in terms of I know what to do, what is expected of me, where do I have to go, are those places safe, etc. And similarly, from an employer and again employee's point of view, there's predictability which is coming. Again, the sardine fisherman of Kerala example is an example of predicting what is my demand supply for a micro entrepreneur, and also what is the predictability, how many people will leave, etc. HR tech software can tell that, predict attrition, predict demand, and so on. So this is the software side of things, if you so to say. Digital identity, HR tech, mobile are all software. Let me come to my one of these favorite slides of showing you few pictures. So this is a bit slightly moving away from software to combination of hardware and software. Again, I would request participants to tell me on the chat what do they see here. There are 79 participants on the chat now, so that's wonderful. Somebody says augmented technology, gamification, interesting. Radhika says gamification. Subhashish is saying augmented technology. Chandresh is saying AR or augmented reality in manufacturing. Srividya is saying machine learning, virtual world. Shubhanish, AR VR training. Ashish, wonderful. Chandresh is saying VR as well. So let me go. This is nothing to do with blue or white collar workers, but just for the sake of learning, there are two pictures on the left hand side. One is a tab and is a mobile. What is that? Is that AR or VR? The two pictures on the left side, are they AR or VR? Radhika says AR, Chandresh says AR, Vanita, Rishabh, everybody says AR, Pooja says AR. Wonderful. Sahil Khan says AR. So that's the majority. Yes, those are augmented reality. You know, kind of where the reality in that sense comes to you. The other two pictures is, of course, virtual reality or VR, where kind of you get transported to that place in a virtual sense. You are inside that. But there is that workman who is actually fixing that hook in that sense. He's almost in that movie, in that picture. So that's virtual reality. So what I'm trying to stress is these are two very, very powerful technologies, underutilized, under-leveraged. I think also because they're costly, takes a lot of effort and resources to set up. But this is something that can really, really help in skilling and moving those people who are at the threat of low skilled set of people who are the threat of being replaced by robots or replaced by automation, to moving them slowly to the gray side. And we are fortunate in India, because in India there's a lot of work to do, right? There'll never be less work, but it's about finding the right people and skilling the right people. So wonderful. Thank you for kind of participating. It's always good to know simulation. Yeah, I think Subhash is also mentioning simulation. These are ways of simulating through either VR or AR. So I will just close the chat part here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So robotics, augmented reality, and virtual reality are doing three things. One, it can scale at scale, and even if you don't have AR, VR, there are a lot of skilling content that can be created in 2 dimension or 3 dimension, a normal way, put on a mobile phone, and it will help you skill at scale, because large swaths of masses, urban masses, need to be skilled, and this is only digitally you can reach to so many people, and they already have a mobile phone. They're also themselves also very familiar with this kind of content, video content, audio based content, pictures, because as we said, we spoke about TikTok and YouTube, so they are very familiar with it. We are only apprehensive about it, that they won't understand, they won't learn. कैसे mobile phones, how will they learn from a mobile phone? Mobile phone से कैसे सीखेगा, क्यों नहीं सीखेगा? There's a YouTuber who is making content and earning about 3 lakhs per month, right? Uh, then there is also about augmenting human ability. So like in the Amazon warehouse, sometimes humans will find it very difficult to lift hard weights. So robots can come and help. So can humans and robots work together? Also, lot of and I'm now talking very futuristic. So don't accuse me about talking about science fiction, because science fiction is closer to you than you think. But uh, human disability, sometimes you have a disabled hand or a disabled feet, those can now be augmented with robotic arms or robotic feet, and they can be made stronger. Of course, these are huge investments, these are science fiction, but at some point in time today, like mobile phones have become cheaper and computers become cheaper, these will also become cheaper. So I'm just trying to paint a picture of what's coming, of how humans and robots need to work together as well. Uh, yeah, sorry, I'm kind of going back, I think. Yeah, so that's it from my side, and I think we have about exactly 10 minutes for question and answers. So I will also refer to the questions that's coming in. First, I'll take the ones which has come through Peter of HRAI. I think there's a one from which says, with more and more technological advancement on the shop floor, where manufacturing processes are moving, how rigorous automation can impact blue collar workforce. Uh, it is impacting. I think with more and more robotics and automation, the manual side of things are going away. It's very important to skill your workers on more logic and more what I would say computer skills, because a lot of these machines or robots will be driven by computers. So even now, wherever I have seen, I've been to different factories. For example, the Crompton Greaves Electricals factory. Workers will now work on a more automated line, but they'll have to do the feeding into the machine. So what timing, at what radius, what circumference, etc. So ability to deal with machines is a very important skill set that will be required. So talking to robots, as I say, is what our blue collar workers may need to learn. What measures an organization should take to ensure that blue collar workers remain relevant with the rapid change in technology? I think we spoke about it. Skilling is very important. More than focusing on education or getting them qualified, we should get them skilled, and skilled with what's happening in the workplace, what's in demand, what's new in technology. Um how does the blue collar paradigm, how's the what are the blue collar jobs of the future? I think one set of jobs that I am very positive about, that is a job of the future, is about taking care of human beings. So nursing, patient care, baby care, elderly care. Our population demographics is also changing, and you will have, and because of better healthcare and medicines, people are living longer, right? 70 years, 80 years, 90 years is no longer anything. And you're also having more nuclear families, so you'll have old age people to take care of, and taking care is something that robots may not be able to do, to an extent probably, but not to that extent. So human care takers, I think, is a job that will surely survive. Also servicing customers, ability, people who are able to work with robots will survive, right? uh, what else? Any other questions you would want me to pick up?
Yes. So how technology development and more refined ways of working positively impacted overall well-being of blue-collar workforce with respect to skill development, enriched job, more opportunities, economical and social factors.
I think organizations will also have to slowly bring in more technology, because technology will generate more productivity.
True.
More productivity may mean more profitability.
Correct.
That may mean that they may able to pay their workers more fairer. However, there will be a time that will probably come, and many futurists predict that at some point in time, the link between productivity and wages will break. So, though companies will become more and more productive, they will not need people. So, I think it's imperative for white collar people to skill themselves, and for government and white collar people to see how they can skill the blue and gray collar workers so they remain relevant.
Correct, correct. So there is a question from Sahil Khan. What was the website which was used to populate this survey that you had shown? Can you please share the name?
Yeah, there are different word cloud populators. I don't remember this one's name, but if you search on Google and say word cloud creation, there are two or three portals which will easily help you do it for free. So you
Great,
just put the words and it will generate the word cloud.
great.
Somebody has also asked, is Karyamitra an NGO? No, we are not an NGO. We are a for-profit company. We are a job tech and skill tech company, primarily focused on bridging the gap between job seekers and job givers, and also enabling employment. And we work only in India right now, so it's only in India.
Yeah. So there is a question of from Subhashish. Stimulation. Okay, where do we put CNC machines into the VR and robotics? And the follow-up question: how do we see replacing robotics with workmen, or it will have its own journey?
So I'll take the first question. I may not be qualified to answer that. Somebody who's
Right.
more involved in manufacturing technology would be able to answer. But simulated CNC machines can be created, which can be given to learners to operate, either in a virtual reality situation or augmented reality for skilling. But yes, it's also very difficult because it's not so easy that only AR and VR can solve, because sometimes, like, you're holding a welding machine, right? Unless you hold it, you don't know how heavy it is, and with what kind of precision can you apply the fire onto a single spot. So it's not so easy, especially in this in the blue gray collar segment, that only AR VR can't solve, but it can take you to some level of skill, and then you will need to have practical training. What was the second question from Swashish?
Uh, so do we see replacing robotics with workmen, or it will have its own journey?
I think it will have its own journey. Also, if robotics comes in too fast, it could also lead to social unrest. So
Okay,
there are different people who say that the government may, after a period of time, slow it down because it will lead to unrest.
correct, correct.
Yeah. But at some point in time, we also should not get threatened. Like somebody, when computers are coming, they say so many jobs will get killed, etc. But with computers, more jobs and more companies have got created. But one never knows. Technology is evolving so fast, you don't know. But
True,
for
true.
surely, more and more robots are coming on the shop floor. That is for sure. What impact will it have? Will it completely wipe out? Will the government stop it? We don't know.
Okay, so there is a question from Namrata. What sustainable model do you suggest for blue and black collared workers, even when the technology is the only enabler?
What do you suggest is the?
Uh, Blue and black collared workers, even when technology is only an enabler.
Yeah. No, I didn't get the question.
Okay, okay. So, what sustainable model you suggest for blue and black collar workers, even when technology is only an enabler?
Correct. No, I think that's a good question. Technology can only be an enabler. I think more and more people have to come into this, and not just leave it on technology to transform things. There has to be human involvement, government, NGOs, training institutes like the industrial training institutes. need to upgrade themselves. Corporates need to participate, need to set aside funds, maybe CSR funds towards skilling and upgrading people. Financial companies, insurance companies, etc. today only target you and me, right? They don't target these people because they don't generate so much of return. And as I said, they are not credit worthy. They don't have trust and so on and so forth. So insurance companies, financial companies also need to target these segments and see how they can kind of help them get finance. Even health companies, dietitians, etc. They only target you and me, right? They don't target these people. So I think as a larger corporate sector, all companies will need to think of how they target, because they are very important. They may give you a small ticket size. They may pay you 10 rupees or 100 rupees, but remember, there are 400 million. Just multiply it by 10 rupees. 4,000 million rupees it can generate for you in revenue if you focus on them,
Correct, correct.
right?
So one more question from Radha is, do you think automation will grab all the blue collar jobs and increase unemployment?
Certain kinds of jobs it will kill. One very clear job, it is going, like there is something called a robotic process automation, or RPA,
Correct.
which is able to copy and paste data and enter data on its own. There's a lot of you from the IT sector will know there is something called GPT-3, which is able to write some parts of codes based on instructions. So things which are routine, manual, standard, those will get replaced. But still, the artificial intelligence is still far away from the general artificial intelligence. So there are two things: artificial intelligence and general artificial intelligence. When you read general artificial intelligence, it is equivalent to human intelligence. That is a little far away. So certain kind of cognitive skills, emotions, understanding of customers, those things are still with the humans. So it's a long journey.
Correct. So the final question is, what problem statement you mentioned does Karyamitra address? How can we leverage Karyamitra platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. This session was not so much about promoting the company that I work for, but Karyamitra basically can help you hire blue and gray collared workers. We have a job platform on a very small subscription model. Employers can subscribe to it and hire workers, gray collar, blue collar workers, from delivery boy to telecallers to welders, technicians, operators, etc. And how can you leverage? You can post jobs, you can contact us, we can create vernacular skilling content for you, because besides job tech, it's also skill tech. We have a small LMS, which is no frills, no thrills, kind of a basic LMS that these people can use on their mobile phone. We have worked with the Retailers Association of India to create such a course for people who work in DMart, Big Bazaar, on the shop floor. So we can create course for you and deliver skilling courses for you through the mobile as well.
Great, great. So with this, we have all the questions answered, Sanchayan.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
so
that's wonderful. Thank you. I must thank everybody for joining in again. I mean, 62 people at one point in time. It was 70 for on a Sunday afternoon. Really thankful, especially to you, Sham. You were in the office at this time. Grateful for this.